The stories of Sherlock Holmes, Arthur Conan Doyle's iconic detective, have been adapted into many forms, from the slapstick parody of Will Ferrell's Holmes and Watson to the modern reimagining in BBC's Sherlock, but Watson built a series without Sherlock himself. Watson used the allure of a Sherlock-adjacent world to give CBS's medical mystery show a stronger hook. Other properties have sidelined Holmes, like Netflix's Enola Holmes series, but none have made the bold decision to kill Sherlock before the story even begins. Watson Season 1 peppered in just enough connections to the Sherlock oeuvre to keep the premise relevant, but never at the expense of being a medical procedural. However, there is a new character being added to the cast of Watson in Season 2 which unravels the draw of the show: Robert Carlyle's Sherlock Holmes, back from the dead. After watching Watson learn how to stand on his own 2 feet, this twist threatens to undermine the premise of the series in Watson Season 2. Introducing Sherlock Holmes into a show about Watson negates the show's unique twist. Until Water, no Sherlock Holmes adaptation has had the audacity to begin with Sherlock's death photo, CBS via Everett Collections. Introducing Holmes as a living character in Watson fundamentally undercuts the one thing that sets CBS's take apart: its willingness to tell a post-Holmes story. For over a century, adaptations have revolved around Holmes's eccentric genius, whether as a steampunk action hero in the Robert Downey Jr. films or as a paternal figure in recent spins like Sherlock and Daughter. Even when sidelined, Sherlock remains present, as mentor, mystery, or myth. Watson, however, dared to start where every other story ends, with Holmes dead, and his partner forced to move forward without him. That premise was more than a plot device, it was the show's emotional and thematic spine. Watching Watson and Shinwell navigate grief, guilt, and professional reinvention gave the series its distinct tone, even if the medical mystery format sometimes felt like CBS draping a Holmes IP filter over a standard procedural. Resurrecting Sherlock Holmes would erase that emotional groundwork and flatten Watson's evolution into yet another sidekick narrative. Moreover, the tension between medicine and deduction was the show's most intriguing hook. Watson solves mysteries of the body, not the mind, a reversal of the traditional Holmes dynamic. If Holmes returns, that balance collapses. The series would lose its unique lens, as the only truly fresh reason to exist in a landscape oversaturated with Sherlock Holmes adaptations. CBS likely wanted to bring in Sherlock Holmes to boost ratings. Reviving Holmes in Watson is a desperate bid to break out in Season 2 photo, CBS via Everett Collections. Bringing Sherlock Holmes into Watson was almost certainly a move driven by desperation rather than creative freedom. While the series launched with an intriguing premise, a world without Holmes that enabled Watson to open his clinic to treat the medical mysteries of Pittsburgh, its ratings quickly plateaued. Watson barely edged out The Equalizer in viewership, and with CBS cancelling Queen Latifah's series despite similar numbers, Watson has been living on borrowed time. The gap between the two was often as slim as 1/10 of a ratings point, hardly the kind of margin that inspires network confidence. Critics, meanwhile, were split. Some praised the emotional depth and grounded tone, while others dismissed it as another formulaic procedural wrapped in Sherlockian branding. Given that, the decision to resurrect Holmes feels less like a bold narrative twist and more like a Hail Mary to boost audience interest. CBS has already seen that episodes featuring legacy characters from the Holmes universe, like Irene Adler, performed noticeably better than the standalone cases. With Moriarty's death in Season 1, killing off the universe's most famous villain, Watson needs more big-name mythology to mine. Bringing back Sherlock, even against the show's original premise, offers instant marketing power and fan curiosity. But it also suggests a creative shortcut. Instead of doubling down on what made Watson unique, CBS appears to be betting that the oldest trick in television, resurrecting the dead, might bring in more consistent numbers. How Sherlock Holmes can make Watson stronger, especially played by Robert Carlyle. Watson needs an intellectual equal, or better, to balance the series. Bringing Sherlock Holmes into Watson could actually strengthen the series by giving it renewed focus and emotional weight without dismantling its core premise. Watson's grief made him compelling but directionless, and without an intellectual equal, his cases sometimes lacked tension. Introducing Sherlock, especially played by Robert Carlyle, gives the show a dynamic new energy while still centering Watson's growth. Carlyle's casting is inspired, as his career has been defined by morally ambiguous characters like Rumpelstiltskin in Once Upon a Time, Franco in Trainspotting, and Don in 28 Weeks Later. That complexity fits perfectly into Watson's moral grey zone, where everyone operates somewhere between light and shadow. Sherlock does seem to be truly alive. He is interacting corporeally with the fridge, which leads me to believe he's not another hallucination, but he doesn't necessarily need to become an ongoing fixture. If handled carefully, his reintroduction can remain peripheral, keeping the narrative anchored around Watson while enriching it with emotional and philosophical tension.